Today is April 23rd. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are on Chapter 7, Working with Others. We'll read page 99. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 12. We'll read page 122. And of course, we'll read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope you all are doing well this morning, my friends. It is Thursday, or as my friends call it, Friday Eve. Life is good over here. I've got my little feline co-host by my side, got a cup of coffee in hand, and I woke up another day sober. What a blessing it is to be alive today. And you know, I got to thinking, I'm definitely a work in progress. There are certain areas of my life that certainly I need to hand over to my higher power. But when we wake up another day, we have an opportunity to make that step toward change. Anytime we're alive, we have the opportunity to make that first step toward change. So I'm excited to continue to grow today and continue to trust. But with that, my friends, let's get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading, we have been talking about relationships with family. And I love one of the last lines we left off with yesterday. Little by little, the family may see their own defects and admit them. These can be discussed in an atmosphere of helpfulness and friendliness. But actions certainly speak louder than words when it comes to amends, right? And especially, our family, they were on the front lines during our alcoholism. So it may take some time. But we'll go ahead and finish page 99. After they've seen tangible results, the family will perhaps want to go along. These things will come to pass naturally and in good time, provided, however, the alcohol continues to demonstrate that he can be sober, considerate, and helpful, regardless of what anyone says or does. Of course, we all fall much below this standard many times, but we must try to repair the damage immediately, lest we pay the penalty by a spree. If there be divorce or separation, there should be no undue haste for the couple to get together. The man should be sure of his recovery. The wife should fully understand his new way of life. If their old relationship is to be resumed, it must be on a better basis, since the former didn't work. This means a new attitude and spirit all around. Sometimes it is to the best interest of all concerned that a couple remain apart. Obviously, no rule can be laid down. Let the alcoholic continue his program day by day. When the time for living together has come, it will be apparent to both parties. Let no alcoholic say that he cannot recover unless he has his family back. This just isn't so. In some cases, the wife will never come back for one reason or another. Remind the prospect that his recovery is not dependent upon other people. It is dependent upon his relationship with God. We've seen men get well whose families have not returned at all. We've seen others slip when the family came back too soon. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. And if you recall from yesterday's reading, we were talking about fear and how sometimes fear manifests itself in money and how we handle money, whether it was being wasteful with money or whether it was being miserly and panicked with money. And yesterday we talked about how off balance we were. And I love here where it says, when a job still looked like a mere means of getting money rather than an opportunity for service. I love that work is an opportunity for service. And then a little further down, when the acquisition of money for financial independence looked more important than a right relationship with God. we were still victims of unreasonable fears, and these were fears which would make a serene and useful existence at any financial level quite impossible. I love that. So now I'm kind of looking at my job as, oh gosh, I got to work today. No, help me to look at it as an opportunity for service, and help me to have a right dependence upon God so that I can have a serene and useful existence today. I love that. And then one of the last lines we read yesterday, we could cheerfully perform humble labor. Cheerfully perform. Oh man, shots are fired today for me. A humble labor without worrying about tomorrow. I guess that's where the trust comes in. And with trust, I can overcome fear. What was it? Faith is not the absence of fear or doubt. Faith is trust in the presence of fear and doubt. So we are on page 122 today. It did not matter too much what our material condition was, but it did matter what our spiritual condition was. Money gradually became our servant and not our master. It became a means of exchanging love and service with those about us. When, with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot, then we found that we could live at peace with ourselves and show others who still suffered the same fears that they could get over them too. We found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. Let's here take note of our improved outlook upon the problems of personal importance, power, ambition, and leadership. These were reefs upon which many of us came to shipwreck during our drinking careers. Practically every boy in the United States dreams of becoming our president. He wants to be his country's #1 man. As he gets older, he sees the impossibility of this. He can smile good-naturedly at his childhood dream. In later life, he finds that real happiness is not to be found in just trying to be the #1 man, or even a first-rater in the heartbreaking struggle for money, romance, or self-importance. He learns that he can be content as long as he plays well, whatever cards life deals him. He's still ambitious, but not absurdly so, because he can now see and accept actual reality. He's willing to stay the right size. But not so with alcoholics. When AA was quite young, a number of eminent psychologists and doctors made an exhaustive study of a good-sized group of so-called problem drinkers. The doctors weren't trying to find how different we were from one another. They sought to find whatever personality traits, if any, this group of alcoholics had in common. They finally came up with a conclusion that shocked the AA members of that time. These distinguished men had the nerve to say that most of the alcoholics under investigation were still childish, emotionally sensitive, and grandiose. "24 hours a day, April 23rd. AA thought for the day. Men and women keep coming into AA defeated by alcohol, often given up by doctors as hopeless cases. They themselves admitting that they're hopeless to stop drinking. When I see these men and women get sober and stay sober over a period of months and years, I know that AA works. The change I see in people who come into AA not only convinces me that AA works, but it also convinces me that there must be a power greater than ourselves, which helps us to make that change. Am I convinced that my higher power can help me to change? Meditation for the day. Cooperation with God is the great necessity of our lives. All else follows naturally. Cooperation with God is the result of our consciousness of His presence. Guidance is bound to come to us as we live more and more with God, as our consciousness becomes more and more attuned to the great consciousness of the universe. We must have many quiet times when we not so much ask to be shown and led by God, as to feel and realize His presence. New spiritual growth comes naturally from cooperation with God. Prayer for the day. I pray that God may supply me with strength and show me the direction in which He wants me to grow. I pray that these things may come naturally from my cooperation with Him. Daily Reflection, April 23rd. AA is not a cure-all. It would be a product of false pride to claim that AA is a cure-all, even for alcoholism. As Bill sees it, page 285. In my early years of sobriety, I was full of pride, thinking that AA was the only source of treatment for a good and happy life. It certainly was the basic ingredient for my sobriety, and even today, with over 12 years in the program, I am very involved in meetings, sponsorship, and service. During the first 4 years of my recovery, I found it necessary to seek professional help, since my emotional health was extremely poor. There are those folks, too, who have found sobriety and happiness in other organizations. AA taught me that I had a choice to go to any lengths to enhance my sobriety. AA may not be a cure-all for everything, but it is the center of my sober living. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading, and some beautiful stuff today. My goodness. First of all, that last one, Daily Reflection, real quick. AA is not a cure-all. I have personally seen many people stop drinking, many people get sober, that went to different organizations or Celebrate Recovery or... So, it would be awful arrogant of me to say, no, this is the only way that works. Now, I will say with very much confidence that this is the way that works for me. It not only works for me, I feel like it spells things out for me in a way that I understand. And it's forced me to live a life of integrity in a very practical way. And also forced me to look throughout the day at ways I can be of service and and if I mess up, what I can do about that. So personally, I love AA and I love going to meetings and hearing new things. And I hear my higher power through the fellowship and what people share, as well as the beautiful literature that we read every day. But again, as it said earlier, like we own no monopoly on God, and AA is not necessarily a cure-all, but like the speaker who wrote that reflection afterwards, it is the center of my sobriety, for sure. Now, do I do other things? Absolutely. I do Bible studies. I have other accountability people for different situations in my life. We're all different. Even in the fellowship, we're all different. But what's really nice is that, yeah, we may have a common problem in alcoholism, but we also have a common solution. And that's what brings us together. And then, I have to continue to keep an open mind even in my recovery. So, and then real quick, out of the 12 and 12, I love this. When with God's help, we calmly accepted our lot. Acceptance is a big one. No matter what the circumstances may come our way, things beyond our control, if I can calmly accept that, I love this part. Then we found that we could live at peace with ourselves and show others who still suffer the same fears that they could get over them too. I love this. Calmly, peace. And then a little further down, we found that freedom from fear was more important than freedom from want. Those are 3 words that I have known to be true and experienced in sobriety. That I can be calm no matter what happens in my life. That I can live at peace with myself. And that I can be free. I think that's beautiful. And then the big book talked about family again. And how the main thing I can be concerned about is my relationship with God, instead of depending on other people. And as it said, some families are restored in sobriety, and that's a beautiful thing. My family has been restored in sobriety, thank God, and I praise my higher power for that. But at the same time, some families never are reunited. And that can be okay too. Because as the big book said in today's reading, it's about our relationship with our higher power. That is the dependence that we need to lean on instead of another person or circumstances. Now, it's easier said than done, but it can be done. And again, it kind of goes back to the 12 and 12, right? If we calmly accepted our lot, and if we do depend on our higher power, we can calmly accept our lot, live at peace with ourselves and others, and we can find freedom. Beautiful stuff today. I love it. But my friend, that's all we have time for today. I hope you have a great one on this wonderful Friday Eve. And I hope that you know that if you're sober, you are a miracle. And you are giving a great gift to everybody around you. And you have a unique superpower to help the next suffering alcoholic and anybody else for that matter today. It's a beautiful thing, this sobriety. And I heard something recently, that what we project is what we'll reflect. And I found that to be true. If I'm positive a lot of times, if I'm looking at the good in other people, not always, but a lot of times, that will come back to me. Now, am I doing it to get something in return? No. I got to watch that. I used to do that. And I can still do that if I'm getting a little selfish. But if I'm positive and kind to others, if I try to look for the good, oftentimes I feel better. When I look at all the things I can be grateful for today, it's hard for me to be depressed. And if you're not sober today, I hope you know that you're a miracle, that you have worth and value. Or if you're in a relapse or something like that, come on back. I've never experienced somebody who relapsed coming back and getting chastised. As Hilda's sponsor said in that last speaker tape that we talked about, or that we played, it's natural. It's a natural desire for an alcoholic to want to drink. So when we do, we don't chastise, but we welcome you back and try to help you to prevent this from happening again. We're here for you. We don't shoot our wounded. So come on back. Don't be ashamed. You're actually going to help a lot of people if you do come back to any fellowship. And as always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon. I am just a joyful drunk in this lifeboat of recovery, honored to be here. And I am so grateful for my friends that I've made through this podcast. I know y'all are out there. I look forward to your little check-ins every day. It really does help me. And I know that a lot of you guys have some time in sobriety. I know there's a couple of you that celebrated 90 days. That's amazing. Those first 90 days can be tough. So congratulations. Every day is a miracle. I remember an old timer in AA would say, I've been sober for 106 days, 4 months, and 30 years. In that order of importance. It's the days that count. Isn't that beautiful? But all right, I better stop talking now. You all have a great day. And if we're given another set of 24 hours, my friends, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.